2.
Alright. So yeah, let's get this started. So like I said, I haven't seen these replays or anything. It's gonna be raw first impressions.
Okay.
I might take notes on some things I might or might not see. First thing I see is you're running V trigger 2. I'm not really sure how that works in this match, but we'll see.
Round 1. Fight.
Okay, so it's fine. Yep. Nice challenge with the stand light kick. Right there, I probably should have gone for DP instead of the parry. It's safer, I think. At that height, probably should have DP'd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right there, it's probably it's better for you to cross cut there than it is for the parry. So I don't know how much risk there is for you in terms of DPing. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't challenge you there. God, you got a little antsy there. Yep. At that point, you should probably just take the throw. If you just take the throw and try to block it out, you'll be fine. You have
I panicked there.
Yeah, you have the meter to close out the round, so you could just take the throw and reset to neutral.
Round 2. Fight.
Okay, that's good. You're holding your ground. I'm surprised he has an empty jump at you yet. Good meaty. Nice, that's pretty good. Oh, that's a pretty solid run from you. I'll have to look at this again later on, just to see how your throw game's looking. Because I don't think you've thrown him so far. So the shimmy worked out, but a better player. Well, I don't want to say a better player, but maybe he panicked or something at that moment. I probably would have taken the throw in that scenario, just because you haven't thrown me yet.
Right, I was pretty surprised myself.
Yeah, and there it is. There's the empty jump. That's good. A little beauty with the standing high kick there. Oh, that was so nice from you. You got a little lucky, but it worked out. Yep, CA. There you go. Okay. So
yeah, I was real lucky on that.
just from looking at this first match, I can tell that there's some things that he's picking up on. Like, for example, every time he jumped at you, you parried. So he was on the lookout for that. And at one point he jumped at you, he empty jumped at you and you parried, and then he punished you for it. I wouldn't be surprised if during this match in particular he started jumping at you a lot more. And because you aren't DPing him, I don't know how good your DPs are, but if your DPs are not on point, him jumping at you becomes a 50-50. Well, it's a 50-50 regardless because of her kunai, but
right.
It's worse, you know what I mean? He has no reason to not jump at you at this point.
Right.
Yep, there we go. Yep. 2 jumps in a row. Because you haven't shown him the DP yet. So he has no reason to not jump at you. That was beauty from him, good check from your part. That was a good throw. Nice reaction. Oh, he couldn't zip you on that. Now you have to guess for game, basically. That's never a good position to be in. That was unfortunate, confirmed from his part.
Yeah.
Round 2.
I think you got a little too antsy there. You didn't respect the V trigger. Oh, you kind of went a little on autopilot there. We can talk about that a bit later. About EX Hadoken being a panic button for Ryu players.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point he's just doing his thing. Because he knows that he can jump at you, and he did the first round, it feels like you're a little scared. And he picked up on that.
Yeah, I'm always scared against the Buki.
Yeah, he picked up on that and he just mauled you that second round. Because he knows that you're not looking for it. You're just trying to get out.
Right, right.
Like as a
exactly.
Karen player, if I see that, and that's that, I'm just going in. I'm just gonna jump at you. I'm gonna dash at you. I'm gonna do random things until you give me a reason to stop. Either you give me a reason to
Right.
stop, or I basically just take the round from you. It's the same thing for
Gotcha.
Ibuki. But Ibuki's worse because once Ibuki gets V-trigger, it's just like, yeah, you have to guess at some point or another. And if he has meters, you can just
Yeah.
take to the air and do EX Kunai, and then it's a little 50-50.
Right. See, that's the thing where I concentrate so hard on the ground against her, my anti-air sucks.
If you were closer, she probably... Oh, that's dirty. If you were closer, she probably would have crush countered you with that forward high kick. Yeah, this one he's just waiting to see what you're gonna do, see if you're gonna adjust or not. Oh, and here comes the vortex. Good block. He got greedy with B skill there. He probably thought he had B skill 1. That was probably a muscle memory thing from him. That was very unfortunate. Oh, that's pretty good. I didn't know that interaction worked like that. Nice shimmy. So at this point, you should know that if he thinks he's gonna die, he's likely to tag, because that's the second time you've put him in that situation, and both times he's tagged, and you shimmied him both times. Well, if you're gonna shimmy him twice like that in the same scenario, like make sure you're consciously aware of why you're doing it, and not just out of muscle memory. Yeah, this is just an Ibuki round so far. That was a good parry actually. Yeah, at that point you probably should just taken. Well, that was a 50-50. I would have taken the throw just because that's how I approach that type of situation. Because I know he's likely to throw. Because he's throwing you a couple of times in close to the corner. So I'd probably just hold the throw in case he tries to vary it.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, that time he challenged. Jesus, that is so... Oh, that's bad.
That was the input area though.
Oh, he should have whip punished that. That's another thing. Ryu players kind of default. Yep. Ryu players tend to default to. Yeah, you're not blocking that on reaction. You're basically guessing for game. But when Ryu players see themselves in a pickle and they don't know what to do, they have the habit of just doing either EX Fireball or Solar Plexus Strike.
Yeah, you're right.
While both those things lose to different things, if somebody jumps at you at the right timing, they can cover both Solar Plexus and the EX Fireball. And then if they walk back, yeah, you burn the meter and you don't get anything from it, because even though you're plus, they're gonna be too far away for you to do anything with those frames. And then Solar Plexus, if you do Solar Plexus, you get whiff punished.
Yeah, I was just hoping I could gutter with one of them and somehow turn it around.
Yeah, but at that point, you basically have to play it interaction by interaction. You can't go for winning plays, especially with Ryu, because if you're playing something like G, you can just be like, okay, I want to win this round now. I'll do EX low into V trigger activation into guess for game, basically, because G can do that. But characters like Ryu needs to like play very slow, very methodical. In this case, you didn't have V trigger 1, so you kind of gimped yourself on that a little bit. You didn't have as strong a comeback mechanic. So let's run it back. But this time we're gonna go round by round, pausing and the whole thing.
Okay.
Try to go interaction by interaction.
Round 1.
So round start, I think he jumps here. He might jump here. Alright, so this is good. If you see him walking back round start, you probably should have delayed it a little bit just to confirm what he's doing. But if you see him walk back, you can just Hadoken him and just to let him know that you're willing to occupy space with a fireball.
Right.
So here, you've made him block a fireball, so at this point you have to think, okay, what kind of player is he? Is he patient or is he going to jump? So throwing your Hadoken here at this distance in particular, since you walked forward, is a little sketchy. So it's good that you didn't do anything, you just kind of walked back and forth. So now you know, okay, if he blocks a fireball, he's likely to do something to retaliate. Because he wants to, if he's walking back, he's giving up space.
Right.
And you know, as a player, you don't want to walk yourself back into the corner. And
Right.
you know, you kind of want to let your opponent know, like, hey, I'm not giving up this free space. So Ibuki obviously has great air options, so he does air kunai, just to kind of see if you're gonna fireball him again. I'm gonna turn
Right.
this actually. So at this point, oh, he's plus here. Wow, he's plus 4. So here it was a little risky for you to press something. As a general rule of thumb, you kind of want to treat her kunais as a dive kick. The lower they
Okay.
hit, the lower you block it, the more likely it is for her to be plus when she lands.
Okay. I never looked at it like that before.
So right here, you press your 4-frame button, and she pressed her her forward roundhouse. Yeah. So because this button is so slow, you actually clipped her on counter hit. But if she had done something faster, you would have gotten counter hit, and you probably would have ate big damage from it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if her. I think if she pressed heavy punch here, she might have clipped you on counter hit. This was good anyway. You at least buffered your standing leg kick into fireball. So here you got, yeah, it's the same thing really. Here you hit her with a fireball, and you already know that when she gets hit or blocks a fireball, this is the same thing. Blocking and hitting a fireball will typically cause the same psychological reaction. More so when they get hit by it. Because when you block it, it's like, okay, I'm conceding space, I don't want to concede space. But when you get hit, it's like, okay, I lost damage and I lost spacing. So I need to do something now. So right here, he's thinking I need to do something now, and he does slide, expecting possibly another fireball, which is what you did. And he clips you for it.
Slide.
At this range, I'm not entirely sure whose buttons are better. I mean, Ibuki isn't like Karen in the sense that if Ibuki hits you with a medium punch, it's not like you're basically gonna be guessing for a round the whole time, you know?
Right.
So I think it's good for you to be contesting at these ranges. That's really good of you to contest after the standing medium kick, because she's negative after it. Okay, this is good. Nice challenge. Alright, so right here is the same thing. You hit her with fireball. What's she gonna do afterwards? You walked forward, okay. She's walking and blocking. So now she's showing you different reactions. So you have to be more cautious with your fireball game.
Okay.
Because you know that she can jump, that she's willing to jump, you know that she's willing to slide, and now you know she's willing to walk and block.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you constantly alter, well, not constantly, but you have to make sure that you aren't showing your opponent the same patterns over and over again. Because they've already shown you 3 different reactions to the fireball. So in theory, you could say that you need like 3 different patterns, I suppose.
Right.
To just vary, just to make them second guess themselves. Because here, see that? She used the pushback from the fireballs to put herself at a distance where she could do that. And at this point, it becomes a matter of testing whether or not you're gonna DP her.
Right.
So here, you parried her jump in, and that's it worked out. You didn't get the punish afterwards, but at the very least, you put the parry idea into her head, which is both a good and a bad thing. It shows her that she can't jump on you for free, because you at least have an option for it. But it's bad because it's not the best option, because she can just empty jump at some point, and then you're gonna parry and it's gonna whiff, and it leads to big damage from her.
Right.
Here it's the same thing. You're kind of showing her the same patterns in terms of your fireball game, so she knows to jump after blocking 1 or 2 fireballs. And Ibuki, Ibuki doesn't really need to think too much about this, because she can alter her jump
Yeah.
arc with kunai. If she had meter, she would have done EX kunai here into combo or whatever.
Yeah.
See here, at very least, here the kunai didn't hit as high. So it didn't hit as high. Isn't the right thing to say? The distance was a little weird, so the frame data kind of saved you a little bit here. You're +3, so you literally punish this with your 3-frame jab. It's fine to contest her if you get hit by kunai like that, because as you see here, she's not always plus when she lands. If you
Right.
can lab this a little bit, see kind of where, at what ranges and what angles she's plus or minus. You don't need to know like every distance, and like this distance specifically leads to this frame data versus this distance, just to have a general idea of what ranges and what angles you need to be looking for you to contest when she
Right.
lands.
Gotcha.
It's pretty good. Here, okay, here, you kind of went for a shimmy. At this point, this is the first solid knockdown that you get on her with Oki. She has no reason to attack here. So, you have life lead, you have Oki. It's the first knockdown you get with solid Oki. So here, throw is very likely to be successful. So throwing her here would have been really good, because it would have extended your life lead by a lot, and it would have put you at a good spot for you to play like this mind game of, am I gonna walk up throw again, or am I gonna meet you with crouching medium kick? Am I gonna delay button? You know, it opens that up very early on in the set, and it lets you establish a solid offense from the get-go.
Got it.
Here she tries to jump, I think. Yeah. I don't know why he tried to jump here. Maybe he thought you weren't going to commit to the fireball. But you can already see that he's looking to take to the air because he knows that you're not going to DP him.
Right. Right.
Because at least for me, the moment I see a Ryu use parry or use buttons for anti-airs, I kind of know for a fact that their DP game isn't on point, and I can risk jumping at them at any point.
Right. Right. Fair statement.
So here, it was good that you didn't parry because he empty jumped. He's already looking for it. Like, he's already looking to punish your parry.
Yeah. I see.
So this was... I'm not gonna say... I don't know if this was fortunate or not. It seems like he reacted to the button. And you're hit... Oh, wow. That's good to know. So here, she's negative even though she hit you with the crouching medium punch. I kind of figured that was the case, because with Karen it's the same thing. If you see an empty command dash from Karen, that's almost always negative. Well, it's always negative actually, especially on block. So you should always contest when you see command dash like this. I think you tried to contest with throw? What was that? Oh, okay, so you delayed your jab and she pressed right afterwards. Okay. So here, again, she's just testing to see how you're going to react to the jump. Probably could have... I think you had enough time to react here and press something. So she was close to the ground, so it might have led to you losing that situation. So right here, this is bad, because you're conceding your turn. What you should have done... What you should have done here... If you throw her, right here...
Yeah.
Look at her health. If you throw her right here, you put her into a range where the next throw can kill her.
Right.
And Ryu doesn't have a throw loop per se, but at the range that the throw puts you at, it's basically a 50-50, especially when she's in the corner. She basically has to guess either meaty or throw. So if you threw her here, like, the round was basically in your hands and you probably could have taken it at this point.
Right.
You probably could have walked up throw again just because you haven't shown her that option yet and she's probably not going to react to it. Obviously, in hindsight, we know that he's likely to tech here because we saw how he reacted to the situation in further rounds. But at this point, I would have done throw into throw just to see how he reacts, because you know it's the first round still.
Right. Right.
So these early rounds are good for you to pick up on the habits of an opponent. Here, he should have challenged you here, I think. Because look at it this way. You're -2 here. Yes, you can parry and you can EXDP here. And it blows him up if he hits anything. But if if you hit her with EXDP, it doesn't kill her. And it leaves her in the same situation. She basically still has to guess for game. But if you EXDP here or you parry here and she doesn't block, and she blocks, which is what she did, you basically put her back into the game. That's what I'm trying to say. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, she has meter and she has V trigger. So if you do EX or if you do V trigger 2 parry, he's gonna have more than enough time to react to it and get the party started with V trigger. And at that point, you might actually lose the round. If she decided to be a little more aggressive, she could have pressed something and risked it all. Because at that point, you're probably thinking the round's already over anyway.
Right.
Because at this point, it's guess for game. The moment you activate V-Trigger, it's guess for game for her. She has to guess twice. And at that point, it's kind of... Even if she guesses correctly, like say you throw her and then she guesses correctly and she does EXDP and gets you off or whatever, you're gonna go back to neutral. You're gonna have a substantial life lead and you can easily land the last hit. So here, instead of doing solar plexus, you probably should have done throw, because it's the safest. It's the safest option for you.
Right.
So right here, if you had done EXDP or parry, you would have lost the round. And if she for some reason she decided to challenge you there, because she thought, hey, the round's already over, it would have put you in a scenario where you could have lost the round regardless because of V-Trigger and her meter. So in this situation, either bait out the EXDP, because EXDP could be a possibility here when you activate. Because you know it could be a good test to see if they're likely to retaliate under pressure or not.
Right. Very true.
So instead of going for the risky solar plexus, which how plus is this? Plus 22. Yeah, so you're basically giving her a chance. By doing this, you went from plus 22 to minus 2. Well, it's not really true. That's minus 22 because of the start of solar plexus. How plus is this? You gave up your advantage for... So you're plus 17, and from plus 17 you went to minus 2 because she blocked the solar plexus.
Right.
So you're conceding your turn basically, and you're giving her control of the round at this point.
Yeah.
So you were, I guess you kind of got lucky in the sense that you pressed your crouching jab and she didn't do anything afterwards.
Yeah.
So
I
it
did
allowed
get lucky there.
It allowed you to kind of retake your turn. But here you see. Okay, so he used the. So he waited for you to give up your turn, and right here, he knows that you're not gonna be in range for throw. And you know, at this point, it's the same concept as I was talking about earlier. The round's already over, and this is kind of if I'm gonna win the round, this is when it's gonna happen. That's what he's thinking right now.
Right.
So he does. You do 2 crouching light punches, and the pushback. The pushback in a way resets you to neutral. Of course, because you have the frame advantage, you're gonna think to yourself, "No, I'm plus. I'm gonna press the issue." And he understands this, and he does something that might be considered risky, but it's basically his game-winning move. It's what's gonna put him back in the game. So he does kunai. I don't know if this activates into V-Trigger. I don't know. I think EX does. I don't know if regular kunai does. Probably not. But if he had done EX kunai here, he probably would have taken the round from you. But right here, you see that he's... Okay, so it does. Okay. So, but you see that once he hits you with the kunai, he's basically in control of what happens. Because he hit you on counter hit, he has V-Trigger,
Yeah.
he has meter.
Yeah.
So here, yep. He
And
takes
now I'm
control.
already panicking.
Yeah. Like the moment you showed him this, the moment you showed him the first parry, he basically knew that he won the round because he knows that you're panicking. So right here, he knows that you're panicking, and he's just gonna let you hang yourself. Yep. Like he's -2 after that standing medium kick, but because you were panicking, you didn't kind of realize what was going on, and you just
Yeah.
went, "I need to protect myself," so you did V trigger too, and he just let you hang yourself basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just. This is a literal 50-50 here. There's nothing you can do about this. Well, you can lab it and try to react, but you know, I'm pretty sure if she does a different button and she dashes, she lands in front. It's just a messed
Yeah.
up 50-50.
Yeah. I just gotta guess which way to hold back.
But yeah, but you see how you lost this round, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
lost this round because you conceded your advantage.
Right.
Fight.
Like you could say, oh, this character's broken. She used the dumb V trigger, which is the V trigger is pretty messed up because you have to guess multiple times. But right here, you let her activate.
Very true.
Yes, the V trigger is messed up, and her kit is obnoxious, and she can set up multiple 50-50s that are disgusting to block. But you allowed yourself to be put in that situation by conceding your advantage here. At this point was when you lost the round, basically.
Right. I understand. I see that.
This is all just guess for game. This is all. You can just take the throw, but if she conserves her V trigger, you have to guess at some point, you know?
Right.
Alright, so next round.
Two. Fight.
For better or for worse, there was that one empty jump she did where you didn't parry. So, whether you meant to do that or not, it caused him to second guess whether or not he wants to empty jump at you, which is good. Because you don't want to let your opponent know that a tactic is gonna work for sure, you know?
Right.
So right here, it's good that you're not tossing fireballs because that's how you started the last round. It's good that you're mixing it up. You're just waiting to see what he does. And here, he's fishing for buttons because he sees that you're buffering a lot of crouching jab, and he knows that you like to press standing leg kick as well because you've done it to him in the first round. So he's just fishing for a counter hit here. Okay, so right here it's the same thing. He's just kind of waiting to see if you're gonna throw a fireball, and because you haven't shown him the DP, he has no reason to not just go for it. So here you get the punish. At this point, he's fine with this. He's he accepts that you parried him and you punished him on the landing frames.
Right.
Because that's information that he's gonna take advantage of later on.
Right.
So here. That's really weird. I don't know why he got hit here. That's an interesting place for him to press something, but okay. So I thought he was trying to jump out. I thought he was expecting throw. Because if an Ibuki's defending and she's expecting throw, she can just jump and do the kunai thing. She can do the kunai release. She can do her cross-ups, which are really good, and get out of the corner safely. But this is good on your part. You're pressuring her. Maybe I don't know about the meter usage here because you burn 2 meters here for pressure. Maybe if you choose a different string.
Hindsight, I should have just went for a throw.
Yeah, you could go for a throw. Because at this point, I'm thinking about it as in you've shown her the throw already, but you haven't. So this is a prime situation for you to throw her. And you can see that he's not even bothering to attack because he knows that you're not gonna throw him.
Right.
Like he's just blocking. That might have been him messing up his placement on his pad or on his stick. But I guarantee that he was just waiting for you to burn meter or something. He was just blocking. That was his intention. He just wanted to keep blocking because you're not gonna throw him. He knows this. He knows you're not gonna throw him. Because if you were going to throw him, you would have done it by now.
Right.
So here he kind of flinches a little bit with the shimmy. This was If I were him, I would have just stayed blocking. Like the logical thing to do here is to just block, because you haven't shown him the throw yet.
Right.
Actually, what I would have done if I were feeling really greedy, like right here, as a Karen player, I would have done crouching medium kick.
And that's true.
If I were feeling really greedy about it, I would have done crouching medium kick and I would have blown you up for it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the round should be over in theory, just because of the life lead and the positional advantage you have over her. So, and it's early on in this set. I have the round lead. I can risk it, If I get hit on counter and lose the round, well, it doesn't matter because I have next round and I have information I can use to win the round.
True.
Well, this is really unfortunate for her. If she had V-trigger here, I think she would have activated and you would have lost the round. Or would have been close to losing the round.
Yeah.
Here, this is really good that you're just pressuring, that you're just poking at her. Though, do keep in mind that both standing leg kick and standing medium kick are negative. So maybe pressing as much as you did wasn't maybe the best idea, but it worked out. I don't know if Ibuki can contest you right at these distances. Maybe because of the space.
I was just desperate at that point. I said, I got to get this stun or it's over.
Yeah. And I think he picked up on that too. I think he tried to contest because he knows that you're negative after the standing leg kick.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate that he chose to do kunai instead of a button. If he does a button here, I think he hits you on counter hit, and it opens you up to giving up the round again.
Yeah.
But
I see the kunai now. Yeah.
But overall, it's pretty. You have the right idea, but maybe be a bit more cautious, or maybe use buttons that leave you plus instead, like standing medium punch and crouching medium punch. Those leave you +1 and +2. The pushback is a little more, but it kind of gives you more control, because you can't press afterwards.
Right.
She can do delay button, and you can just kind of, after standing medium punch, for example, you're +1. But the pushback is enough so that you can do maybe a delay button and catch her delay button and counter hit. Or if she tries to walk forward or jump, you can clip her on her jumping frames or when she's walking forward.
Right.
So here again, he's just taking to the air. In this case, you literally can't do anything to challenge her here because she has meter, and you kind of just have to let her burn the meter. Was this a delay jab or was this on reversal? So he's +3 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Okay, so this is okay. So you delayed the jab here, which is good. He tried to press something. You didn't hit the startup frames, but you did catch him when he was holding down forward. So this was good. The delay jab here. You're basically taking the throw. Well, yeah. If he does a delay tech here, expecting the DP, you hit her on counter hit, so that's fine. So this was good. The fireball was good. How plus are you here? You're -5. This was a little greedy on your part, but the distance kind of allowed it for it to be a good thing for you.
Yeah, I was shocked myself when that connected.
If you were closer, you probably would have gotten hit on counter hit. I'm not sure on the startup frames of that move, that roundhouse. Let me look it up real quick. But I'm pretty sure if you were closer, you would have gotten hit. So here,
yeah.
I'll look that up later. You're plus here, that's good. So yeah, here you see it again. He already knows that you're likely to fireball multiple times in a row, so he's just risking it.
Yeah.
You haven't punished him for this.
Right.
Like, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that if you don't punish your opponent for doing something, no matter how dumb it may look, no matter how unsafe it is, they're always going to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Until you give them a reason to stop doing it, they're going to keep doing it. Because I do the same thing. Like, you can ask some of the Ryu players I've played from your group that sometimes I'll jump at them 4 times. Like, the moment I jump at them and I don't see a DP, I'm just going to hold up forward.
Right.
Until I see a DP. And then once I see a DP, I'm not gonna think, oh, I'm gonna stop jumping. I'm gonna think to myself, okay, he took a while to kind of DP me out of the air. Let's see how consistent he is with his DPs. And then I'm gonna mix up my buttons with jumps. I might poke at you with my standing medium kick as Karen. I might walk up, I might dash up, I might walk back, and then at one point I'll mix in the jump just to see if you're prepared. And if you're not prepared, I can think to myself, oh, okay, so he can DP, but he's not consistent with it, and I can kind of scare him a little bit, make him panic, and kind of take his attention off the air, and then I'll jump in and I got a free jump in. And then if I see that you're throwing a lot of fireballs, it's worse, because I jump in on with a fireball, I punish you for it, and you basically end up in the corner where you have to guess for rounds.
Yeah, I got you.
So here, how'd you get thrown here? Oh, okay, so she caught you on the landing.
Yeah.
I take it you weren't expecting the slide, so you kind of froze up when you saw her slide. I think you were plus here.
It happens with Bisons a lot too when they slide and I land right behind them and get thrown.
So here, good block. Yes, and there you go. It was only a matter of time until she empty jumped at you and you parried it, and you tried to parry it. She could have gotten a bigger punish off this, but she already has. She had the idea. The Ibuki player had the idea that you were gonna parry and she was gonna punish you for it.
Right.
Oh. After throw, you want to make a mental note to look out for the dash, because this is never plus. Anytime a character dashes up after a throw, it's never plus, no matter the character.
Okay.
So here you're +2. So if you see her dash, you could always challenge with like your standing medium punch or your crouching medium punch, because those are I believe 5 or 6 frame buttons that reach pretty far. So you would have clipped her on counter hit here.
Oh, okay.
So if she dashes and she doesn't press anything, I believe your buttons are not gonna reach. So what you can do here, well actually they might, never mind. This is kind of iffy. Because what I was gonna say is, if your medium punch button doesn't reach, you can empty buffer it into EX donkey kick.
Right.
That way, if she presses a button and you counter hit, you immediately go into the donkey kick and you get the damage. And if she doesn't press anything and it whiffs, nothing happens. You're back in neutral, you know?
Right.
So she kind of stole her turn back here. At this point, I'm not sure if she reacted to your jump with this command dash. It looks like she did, which is weird to me. At this point, I think she's just playing to startle you a little bit. Kind of hit you with unpredictable things so that you freeze up and she gets free damage like this with throw. And you know, here, this player probably knows that they're negative after the dash, but because they just saw that it works, he's gonna do it again. And this time you actually press something, which is good. And see, this is really good. You buffer crouching light punch into its fireball, into trigger activation, which gives you Oki. This is fine. Yeah, that jump was a little greedy. But at this distance, the most effective thing you can do is just walk at them.
Yeah.
You can walk at them and kind of mix it up with your fireballs a little bit, just to force them to panic, you know, just to force them to not know what to do.
Yeah.
But here, I
got desperate at this point.
What gave it away was that you walked back.
Yeah.
You walking back lets the opponent know that you're looking for something very specific. It either means that you're looking for them to jump, or that you're about to jump. And he just held his ground and he waited for you to do something because he knew you were going to do something big.
Right.
And you went for the jump. Here, the anti-air traded, but that was fortunate for you. But in an ideal world, you get punished for that.
Yeah, you're right.
So here, that was a good standing light kick, just to kind of, you know, let her know that you're not willing to let her just walk out of the corner for free. This is good for if you can walk up. And here, you know, typical Ibuki things, they kind of hit the panic button with the X kunai. That was really, for better, you know, this is really good. If you see an Ibuki jump, holding forward is a good strategy. Because of this right here.
Right.
even if she angles the kunai further down, I don't think it's gonna hit you. The explosion's gonna hit you. And if she does regular kunai, the chances of you being plus when she lands are very high, just because you're closer to her. So it was good from your part to challenge with a button. Maybe standing hard kick wasn't the ideal button here, because I think she could have crouch blocked. She could have crouch blocked here, and I think your button whiffs here. I forgot. Ryu standing high kick doesn't hit crouches, right? I believe
it hits sometimes in weird interactions, but typically no.
Right, yeah. So here, she kind of panicked and went for the throw tech, which is why you hit her on counter hit. But I think a safer option would have been standing medium punch on a little bit of the delay, or on reversal, just to kind of force your turn, you know, because you're
right.
plus. And if you punish her for it, you get the damage for it. If she blocks it, it's still your turn.
Right.
So that's a good combo. You have Oki here. Again, you know, you haven't thrown her much. So I don't fault you for going for this, because you've seen that he techs in this situation. You've seen him tech once or twice already. So it's fine to go for this, but again, throw should probably be your first option always. It's good that you went for the empty jump at least. You went for empty jump because you saw him walking back. And here, yeah, you just win the round. You win the round and the game off that.
Yeah.
So after looking at this replay, like with more attention, I guess, what I can tell you is that you seem to lack a very clear plan in how you want to play neutral, or in general, really. You're kind of taking it interaction by interaction, and you're kind of guessing just to see what happens.
Right.
But the problem with that playstyle is that, sure, you may guess correctly once or twice, and you might get big damage from it, but it's not consistent.
Right. You're right.
Because if it doesn't work, you don't know what to do. You know?
Yeah.
You haven't planned that far ahead.
Yeah, I feel like my card's been played at that point.
Yeah. It's like you top decked something and you just played it instantly, and then it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? So that's why I emphasize going for throw a lot, because throwing somebody and how they react to the throw situation tells you a lot about how they approach their defense. And if you build a plan around that, it allows you to exploit your opponent's defense more consistently. For instance, I'm a Karen player, so obviously throw is a very big part of my game plan. Against stronger players, I know for a fact that after I get my first knockdown, if it's mid-screen, I have to throw them. Like, I have to throw them to get the maximum amount of damage and pressure, because good players are not going to risk eating a shimmy early on in the rounds. It's just not worth it.
Right.
Because if I hit him with, say, if we're neutral and I whiff punish with standing medium punch and I do Tenko into Orochi into throw, that's about, throw does 150, and the combo is probably going to do another 150 to 180. So that's 330 damage. But if they throw tech and I shimmy, we're looking at 180 from the initial combo, and then if I shimmy, that's another 200 to 225 damage that they're gonna eat. Plus I have Oki again. Whereas if I throw them, I don't have Oki anymore. Even if they're in the corner and I throw them, Karen doesn't have her pseudo throw loop anymore. So you can just delay button basically, and most of the time it'll get you out. Yeah, you're in the corner, but technically you're in neutral again. And you can slowly wiggle your way out of the corner. So in that sense, that's why throw is usually like the go-to option. Obviously, at some point you have to mix it up, because at some point they have to start teching.
Yeah.
But it's better for you it's better for the defender to kind of just take the throw and evaluate what your playstyle is as the offender. It goes both ways, really. You throwing them tells you about how they defend, and them taking the throw shows them how you want to aggress.
Right.
But Obviously, in a game like in a game like this, any amount of damage that you can take to extend your life lead is great. It puts you in a more favorable advantage, obviously. So, you know, throw should definitely be kind of like your go-to thing. Not always, but most of the time. Sometimes you don't even have to look at a player in that situation to know whether you want to throw them or not. If you see them being very undisciplined and neutral in general, say that they just jump randomly, they just dash a lot, they press a lot of buttons randomly, you can think to yourself, this player doesn't seem as disciplined as a stronger player, so I'm gonna go for a shimmy because this player seems like he would tuck a lot. And then most of the time I make that assessment, it turns out to be true. First knockdown, they'll just panic and either throw or jump or backdash or whatever, just to kind of run away from the situation. And when a player shows that they just want to get out, it usually opens them up to eat a lot of damage.
Right.
Which is why taking the throw, it may seem like propaganda or whatever from Karen and Cammy players who are like, just take the throw. But taking the throw is the safest thing you can do because it leads to the least damage and never leads to Oki.
Right.
Because if I see that you backdash a lot on your wake up, for example, as Karen, I will run up to you and I will do crouching fierce. If I catch a backdash, that's a crush counter.
Right.
And I can either 50-50. I can either do command dash into standing light kick and force a 50-50, or I can just finish the combo and probably get Oki off it, and then force it on a 50-50. It gives you too much control basically over the round.
Right, I understand.
So going into game 2, he knows that you don't have DPs. At least you haven't shown him that you have any DPs. So he's just going to challenge with empty jump and wait for you to hang yourself with parry. And if you don't parry, you're probably gonna block, which gives him his turn basically at close range, and you don't want that. So here you kind of went into your default starter, which was the fireball in the start of the first round.
Yeah.
And he went for kunai. And again, he knows that you're likely to fireball again, and he also knows that there's almost no risk for him to jump. So he's just gonna do it, and he's gonna empty jump because he knows that you're gonna go for the parry. Here he could have gone for. I wonder. Yeah, he definitely had time to go for a bigger punish. I don't know why he went for throw here. It's almost as if he knows that you're gonna parry, but he didn't plan that far ahead, Like he didn't know what he wanted to do when he landed.
Right.
So he just went for the throw to guarantee the damage. Here it was good that you contested, but do keep in mind that your standing fierce is negative. And at this range, if you're gonna press something, you're probably gonna try to press something that reaches further on the screen.
Right.
So you pressing fierce again here was bad because this happens. You're both gonna press something with a lot of range, most likely a heavy button. And if you get hit by a heavy button in this game, you're most likely gonna get crush countered, and then this happens. Not to mention, if this were me, for example, right here, I wouldn't have pressed anything. I probably would have walked up. A little bit, and more likely than not, your standing fierce wouldn't have reached me in time, so I probably would have whiffed, and I would have reacted and I would have whiff punished you for it. So that's another big thing.
Yeah.
Walking in this game is so powerful. Because here's the thing about walking. You can stop walking literally at any point. At any point, you can just stop walking.
That's true.
Like if you dash a certain distance at a certain time. Like that's fixed. When you're walking,
right,
you can walk full screen, you can walk 1 step, you can walk 2 steps, you can walk 5 steps. But as a defender, I don't know how many steps you're gonna take. So if I see you walking a lot, I may be inclined to press a button. But
Right.
because you can stop your walk at any point, you can think to yourself, okay, I know that this player sees me walking a lot, and they're probably going to want to stop me from walking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk slightly less, just to force the button to whiff, and I'm going to whiff punish it. Because that's basically how Karen works.
Right.
Most of Karen's game plan is basically walking up and throwing you, or trying to make you panic. And once you start thinking to yourself, okay, I'm not gonna let her walk up to me. I'm gonna challenge her at a further distance. I just walk, and I stop right outside of your button's range so that it whiffs, and I can whiff punish it.
Right.
But it's something that you can do with any character. Here, you kind of went for the same trap again, and it worked out. I don't know what. Why'd you get the crush counter here? That's interesting. Oh, he pressed crouching medium punch. Okay. It's weird how that works out. Because earlier she did standing high kick, and she crush countered you. But this time she did a faster button. But because the button didn't reach in time, you hit her on counter hit. That's a good challenge from your part. Especially when she has meter, the best thing you can do is air to air her. Because if she does EX kunai, you can probably hit her out of it. That was a good throw. It plants the idea of to throw in her head. And at that point she has life lead. She has no reason to not take the throw here. Like if you shimmy her here, it would have been a waste. Because if you throw her, she still has life lead and it puts her in a favorable position. And if you shimmy, you don't get the damage, and it puts her in a good position for her to win.
Right.
So this was good. So it's good for you to challenge her here with the jump. She hasn't shown you any anti-airs, so it's good for you to like test that out a little bit. This leads to you getting your turn. Here, yeah, same thing. You try to go for sort of shimmy to get your sweep to activate, but she's just gonna take the throw. Because taking the throw here still leaves her in a favorable position, and not only that, if she takes the throw, you're doing her a favor because she gets V trigger off it, and then you're back in neutral, and she has V trigger. And at the health you're at, V trigger if she hits V trigger on you, she basically wins the round.
Yeah.
So here it's kind of like a mutual agreement where you agree to throw her because it's what's gonna give you a bit of a life lead, and you can kind of play around it.
Right.
But she also accepts that throw because it gives her V trigger and it gives her a greater chance of winning the round outright. So it's kind of like a transaction that you're not a transaction, a mutual agreement, a mutual understanding that you both kind of implicitly develop in this situation.
Right.
And her not getting V-trigger here isn't the end of the world because she's literally one sliver away from getting it. Anything that she blocks, it gives her V-trigger. So, and that's another thing. At the amount of V-gauge she's at, if she blocks literally anything after this, she gets V-trigger. So if you're gonna give her V-trigger, you might as well make her pay like a tax for getting V-trigger, you know?
Right. Right.
You know, sometimes I'll play around it. Sometimes I'll look at my opponent's V meter and I'll think to myself, okay, if they block 1 or 2 hits, they get V trigger. If I throw them, they get V trigger. So I might as well throw them into the corner or something and mitigate their chances of obtaining that last amount of V meter in a favorable position. Because say for example that here, you press your standing medium kick. Theoretically, you press your standing medium kick here.
Right.
So you press your standing medium kick, she blocks it, she gets V-trigger, and she's +2. So at that point, you can literally just press into activate into guess for round.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So at this point, you know, throwing her would have been the best alternative. And here, she's playing reckless because she understands that Ryu doesn't get Oki off of that many hits, for starters.
Right.
So she can afford to take the hit. So she takes the hit, she gets V-trigger, and she gets the party started. At this point, she's basically playing for, okay, I'm going to get as much damage as possible on this Ryu before he gives me V-trigger. Just to kind of make it easier for V-trigger to win the round out.
Right.
Which is why you see her dashing up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go. That's exactly what ended up happening. She played for the damage until you gave her V-trigger, and once you got V-trigger, she basically closed out the round.
Round 2.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
If you had thrown her instead of gone for the walk back into sweep, you would have had a more even playground, I guess, because you would have been in neutral.
Right.
And at that point, you know she has V-trigger, and you know she's gonna be looking to activate, so you can kind of play around it, you know.
Right.
You can kind of program yourself to think, okay, I'm gonna look for dashes, I'm gonna look for jumps, and then anything else, I'm just not gonna react to it because it's too risky.
Right.
At least from the perspective of a Ryu player. If I'm Karen, in my case, I tend to have pretty good reactions when it comes to buttons being tossed out of neutral. So
Right.
I can kind of train myself to look for jump and for dash, and if I see a button on the screen, I kind of have the reaction time to just whiff punish it. But I'm what my conscious effort is going towards is to have her act, if she wants to activate V-trigger, to not have it be in a favorable position for her. That's what I'm looking for. Force her to kind of waste it, I guess, you know?
Right.
Here, you kind of flinched a little bit. I think you tried to DP here. Of all times, to try the DP, you picked like the worst possible time, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty unfortunate. So, at this point, this is just, yeah, Ibuki doing her thing. Here, you took the throw. And here, at this point, same thing as earlier. You're just looking for the dash. You don't care about anything else that isn't a dash. If she dashes, you can just press a button, punish, and try to punish it. If you had pressed something here, you would have gotten on a counter hit, and you would have saved the round basically.
Yeah.
Because once this happens, you're in the corner against Ibuki, she has meter. You're kind of SOL here. You kind of have to guess for round already here.
Yeah.
See, here you went for the jab because you saw her dash up. You tried to hard read another dash instead of reacting to it. And you messed up your buffer, which is why your EX Fireball came out.
Yeah.
This was actually really greedy from her part. If you had taken the throw here, you would have been fine. But because you tried to throw attack,
Yeah.
this
I
happens.
see it.
She drops a combo and gets a throw afterwards. See, this was good. Well, if you had pressed a button here, you probably would have gotten crush countered. So
Yeah.
it was fortunate, is what it was. But, you know, if it works out, it works out. But, you know, just try to keep in mind that here, after the throw, if he presses a button, you probably would have gotten hit on counter hit, and it would have been really bad for you because she probably would have won the round off that.
Yeah.
Because she would have stunned, she would have put you in the corner, you would have had to guess for round afterwards. But it worked out, so you have Oki. Well, I think you have Oki here. Even with the whiffed donkey kick. Ooh, that was a little weird. He probably wasn't sure what the frame data on this was, so you dashing up was a little risky, but it worked out. I probably would have challenged here just because I'm greedy like that. And considering he has a life lead, it would have been really worth it to just go for it. To challenge after the dash.
Yeah.
See, you went for solar plexus here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're +1. Like here, what you could do is you could press standing light kick into regular fireball, just to kind of create a little bit of distance with the pushback. Fireball would have put you right at this distance with the pushback from the standing light kick and from the fireball. Sure, you would have been negative, but it puts you in a position of control over the corner. If she jumps, you can air, you can DP, if she dashes, you can react to it and you can blow her up for it.
Right.
And there's no button she can press here that realistically challenges you for that space, because none of her buttons are gonna force you to block. And if she does slide and you crouch block it, well, she just dies. She gets hit for it.
Yeah.
So instead, you kind of went for the panic option, because you weren't sure how you wanted to follow up your offense after this sequence. So what she did was she did delay crouching medium punch, probably expecting you to either do solar plexus or for you to walk up. Because if you walk up and press a button here, at this timing, she probably gets you on counter hit anyway, on a crouching medium punch. So here in this scenario, that's why the block string, going for a block string would have been more beneficial. Because
Right.
it prevents this from happening.
Yeah.
And because she hit you on counter, I think this was plus. Oh, it was 0 actually. This is good to know, by the way. Just to know that you can always challenge with your 3-frame at least after you get hit by the. If you get hit and she does command dash right afterwards,
Right.
you should always challenge with your 3-frame. If you did your 3-frame here, you woulda hit her on counter hit.
Yeah.
This is a 4-frame button, I believe. And here you basically. Well, no. You would have had to guess for game. Well, actually, no, you do, actually. She has Ogi off this. Here, she can either go for the throw. She can go for back throw, and I think back throw might stun you here. She can go low, and you would have died for it. Or she can do this. She can blow up the throat like attempt with the overhead. Oh, you didn't react to the overhead. That's unfortunate. And then she just, yeah. That was just an unfortunate situation, really. Like, there's no winning there. You basically have to either react in time or guess right.
Ibuki wins.
Yeah.
Because if you try to wake up stand blocking, she goes low, and it's the same thing.
Right.
So right here, we're seeing that he's already made the adjustments to beat you. He knows that you don't DP you don't DP him out of the air, so he knows he has basically free jumps. He knows that you're not likely to throw him on your offense, so he's going to be very likely to just take the throw. Because if you do anything else, which is what you've been doing so far, he can just block it out and reset to neutral at some point. And he also
Right.
knows that you're likely to go for solar plexus whenever you feel lost on your offense. So he knows that after a throw tech, for example, he can dash up into crouching light punch Rida, or she can literally just throw tech, not do anything, and whiff punish your solar plexus. Like, you can ask Jose about solar plexus. He will tell you that it's a suicide button, because the amount of situations that I just punish him for it's insane.
Yeah.
Like anytime he would throw tech, he would always go for solar plexus, and every time I would either dash up and press crouch and medium punch and hit him on counter hit, or I would walk back, have solar plexus whiff and whiff punish it. Sometimes in neutral he would toss it out, and the same thing I would just walk back and whiff punish it. Nowadays when we play it surprises me when I see solar plexus, which is good, you know, because it's not something that you should stop using. Obviously, I think it's one of Ryu's stronger tools, but you can't
Right.
rely on it. Because
Right.
if you rely on it, you kind of telegraph to your opponent what you want to do, and it opens you
Yeah.
up to getting punished very, very hard.
Very true.
So it's just a matter of mixing it up. So, last game. Let's see. I kind of forgot what happened in this game.
Round
Let's see.
1. Fight. Hadoken, Hadoken, Hadoken.
Yeah, same thing. You're going for the fireball way too much at the beginning of round 1, and it's something that you do specifically at the beginning of round 1. Like every round 1 you see, you kind of go for a fireball game.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna, every time he sees fireball, he's gonna think, okay, there's another fireball coming on its way, so I'm just gonna jump because there's no risk for me to jump because you haven't DP'd him out of the air yet. So here, I'm surprised this. I think he messed up this setup. That's fine. That's just things that happen in neutral. But here, there's actually. Let me. You have to make sure that if you're gonna press buttons like this in neutral, that you have a logic behind it. You know, it's not just I'm just gonna toss this out and see if I catch anything. You have to, if you're gonna throw a button like this, you have to think to yourself, I'm throwing this button because I know that in this particular scenario, Ibuki is very likely to press a button and I can crush counter it. You know?
Right. Right.
You see, in this case, it worked out that you got the crush counter. But you have to make sure that there's intent behind your button. You know?
Right.
It's not just something that you tossed out randomly.
Right.
So here again, he sees that you're going for a fireball game. This is something that I see a lot of Ryu struggling with as well. It happened to me with Sagat too. Whenever I played Sagat, my fireball game was a switch.
Yeah.
I at certain points I just turn it on and go full in with fireballs, and then I turn it off, and I wouldn't throw a single fireball, and I would just kind of play with my buttons a little bit. So
Right.
whenever I was playing Sagat last, I was kind of trying to make it feel seamless, you know? Not have two separate game plans in kind of chunks. Instead of having just fireball in one end and button in the other, just to have it be
Right.
one solid plan that was unpredictable. This
Right.
is something that Jose developed in the past year or so, and it's really hard for somebody to kind of guess when Jose is going to throw a fireball, because he's very good at playing footsies, throwing fireballs, and more importantly, playing footsies with fireballs.
Right.
Once we finish up this replay, I'm gonna explain something about Ryu's hurt box that Jose does a lot versus me, and it works wonders for him. So right here, you're kind of pressing buttons a little frantically. You know, it's kind of a scramble, so you're trying to win the scramble. At that point,
Yeah.
if you hit her, you get more damage, but you don't get Oki. Whereas if she hits you, she gets less damage because Ibuki doesn't hit hard, but she gets Oki. So I think in this scenario,
Right.
you have more to lose than her. So you could probably chill out a little bit, and just take the throw and reset to neutral. That was a good challenge. He got very greedy there with the V skill too. That was a good punish on your part. See right here, see, this is what I was talking about earlier. See this? You went for the block string. The pushback made it so that you were negative, but you were safe, and at this point, you have
Right.
control over the corner.
Right.
There's no explicit avenue where she can just say, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna activate V-Trigger. Well, she might be able to do
Right.
EX Kunai into V-Trigger here, I'm not sure. I don't know much about this V-Trigger, to be honest. I don't know what it cancels from. If she can do V-Trigger from EX Kunai, then this is probably when she would do it, just because you're minus because of the fireball. But she doesn't do it, so you have control over the corner. Here, oh, that's unfortunate. See, this is why you have to kind of keep control of the corner with medium buttons typically, and with walking back and
Right.
forth. Going for
Right.
big buttons like this opens you up to getting punished, or for quote unquote random things happening, you know. But it's not
Right.
because it's random. It's just that they want out of the corner, and they're panicking to get out of the corner, and you swinging for the fences with a heavy button kind of facilitates that for them, you know. Whereas if you walk forward a little bit and you see them jump, you can cross cut, for example, or you can catch
Right.
them, or you can walk under them and catch them on their landing frames,
Yeah.
which is something that I do a lot with Karen. This was really good awareness from your part to kind of
That was
realize.
lucky. I was just fortunate.
Well, it worked out, you know. You saw yourself in that situation, and you said, if I'm gonna get hit, I might as well try something, you know. It was good foresight regardless. Whether it was lucky or not, you know, it doesn't matter. Because this could have, you know, let's say that you do the parry and you get blown up for it. You know, that's fine. Maybe you didn't know that how that interaction worked out, and
Yeah.
now you know. You know, now you know you can't parry it with V trigger too.
Yeah.
Here, that was fortunate that the shimmy worked out, because again, you haven't thrown her much, so she doesn't have a reason to attack. But maybe she thought that because you hadn't thrown her enough, she thought now that the throw kills me, he's gonna go for it. You
Right.
know, it's
She overthought it.
yeah, she probably overthought it. Yeah. It's something that I've learned about this game is that typically what you see is what you got. If you see somebody that doesn't attack, they're probably not gonna attack.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they won't. You know, but they probably won't, you know? It's very likely that they won't attack. So you could just go for throw until you see
Right.
a very clear shift in their mindset. Once you know for a fact that, okay, this player used to not want to attack, but now he's willing to attack. Once you can make that clear distinction, then you can start going for shimmies in your game plan. So here, it's good that your fireballs are more delayed, because it gives him another look. Because earlier you were just throwing fireballs one after the other, and now you're kind of delaying your timing on it.
Right.
Here, unfortunately, you know, she can just do this. She can just take to the air, toss it, waste the meter, and she's plus in your face. Literally nothing you can do about this. Here, I think you tried to challenge her with something, and you got hit for it. That's good. That was pretty good. This was a pretty good sequence from your part. You recognize that she's negative, challenged, and you kind of hit her with a spacing trap, I suppose. I honestly wonder if she had done something else. Would you have hit her out of it? You know, say that here she presses crouching medium punch, for example. What would have happened here? Or if she presses standing fierce, if she hits you on counter hit. This is really good from your part too, because you haven't shown her that you're willing to jump too much. So you jumping here while she has meter is good, because you can force this kind of situation where she is expecting to get in for free, and you just kind of hit her out of the air, out of the X kunai.
Right.
Here, this is fine, I guess. I mean, you kind of concede your turn. You know, again here, right here, throw, because you haven't shown her much throw, and it's free damage. It's free damage, and it takes you back to neutral.
Yeah.
Here, it's good. You recognize that you were negative, and you walk back a little bit. Here, probably could have DP'd this. Instead, she jumps in, and this is just cursed. You basically have to guess for the round here. Like, this is all irrelevant. You were doing fine up until here. This is fine. This is not optimal. Up until here, you're still fine, but it's not optimal. Because you can walk up and press another button and hit her on counter hit or whatever. You can stagger your pressure.
Right.
You can walk up throw.
Yeah.
Here, you conceded your turn. Not favorable, not optimal, but you know, you're back in neutral.
Yeah.
She jumps. You didn't DP this. You lost the round right here.
Yeah.
You basically lost the round right here. All this that happens afterwards is just guess. It's just guess. If you lose because you're guessing wrong, you didn't lose because you guessed wrong. You lost because you put yourself in a position where you had to guess in the first place. You know.
Right. Right. You're
If
right.
you're not minimizing the amount of times you have to guess on defense, and you get blown up for it, like you can't complain about the 50-50s. You can, like for example, Laura. Most players will think, oh, you know, this character is dumb. She hits me once, and I have to guess over and over and over again. Which is true. It's dumb that you lose that way, but you have to think to yourself, at what point did I mess up for her to be able to get in? Sometimes it happens that, you know, they make the right read, and you have to live with that. Sometimes you'll throw a fireball as a fireball character, and she just jumps over it at the perfect timing. and then she lands a jump in. She lands her Oki. She gets button into V trigger into guess for game. But other times you'll mess up in situations like this, for example, where they either dash up or they just jump and you don't check them, and then this happens. You get blown up for it. So it's kind of important to recognize when these things happen. Recognize when you lost because of a mistake you make, versus recognizing that you lost because they made a hard read and it was the correct read.
Right.
Here the solar plexus was fortunate. Here, yeah, you have corner control. You do solar plexus. You give up your control. Basically, the moment you did this, you basically tell her, hey, you can get out of the corner. Because she can throw you here. She can back throw you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is basically. But I'm surprised he did an empty jump again. Oh, that's a whiff punish right there. If you whiff solar plexus, you should not press another button afterwards, because then this happens. Oh, that's not reacting to this online is understandable because it's kind of hard to see. But typically you want to make sure that you press whenever you see that command dash. But here's the same thing, really. Like, you were doing fine, and then she did. This is all fine. Even getting hit there, that it's not optimal. It's not good, but it didn't cost you a round. You're still in the game. Now this, however, like, look at this. She does command dash, and she starts off at -25. So typically it takes about 16 to 18 frames, anywhere between that, for you to recognize a move in this game. So if you do the math, that basically, realistically, it leaves her at -7 to -9.
Right.
So if you react to this, you can punish it with the medium punch and blow her up for this. Instead, you kind of panicked and you went for a throw.
Yeah.
And she just mashed jab right afterwards, and it led to basically you losing the round. You basically lose the round off this. You drop the combo, but it doesn't matter. At that point, she has too much control over the corner, and and if she blocks once or twice, or she takes a throw, she gets V trigger, and you don't have the health to realistically survive for a V trigger activation. Unless you get really lucky with your guesses.
Yeah.
In which case, you go back to neutral, and she still probably has meter, and she still probably has life lead. So realistically, you lost the round. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I rambled a little bit too much. Like I said,
No, you didn't ramble at all. I don't know. All of it was concise and clear.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm probably gonna upload this to YouTube just to make sure that this is stored somewhere.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking back on it too.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that I talked about, so you might want to kind of listen to what I said with more attention. Maybe take some notes, because I kind of went all over the place at certain points. I talked about different mechanics and how they interact with how you should play, like life lead and walking.
Yeah. What was this hurtbox thing you was telling me about?
Oh, the Hadoken thing. So when Ryu does Hadoken, if you look at how his hurtboxes shift on his upper body, he actually shifts back for a few frames. So you can stand at certain distances versus Karen, for example. And if I press my standing medium punch and you do Hadoken, the pullback on the Hadokens on the hurtbox from the Hadoken makes it so that my standing medium punch whiffs because of the shift.
Right.
And then your Hadoken comes out and it punishes me in my recovery frames. Like if you look at, for example, there's this really good set between, I think it was Bonchan versus Sandbag, I believe. And I'm pretty sure if you look at how Sandbag was playing, he was playing at the distance where if he did Hadoken and Karen did a standing medium punch, the standing medium punch would have whiffed and he would have landed the Hadoken.
Wow.
And if you look at replays between me and Jose, you can see that he goes for it a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely do that.
It takes some practice, obviously, but it ties into being able to play footsies with your fireballs.
Right. I understand that.
So yeah, biggest thing that I think you should work on is having more general awareness of what's going on in the round, and to kind of play with a more established plan. Because the thing about DPs are about 50% reaction and 50% anticipation. You can kind of based on the player obviously, but you can kind of set up to force your opponent to jump when you want them to jump.
Right.
Because like with Karen, for example, you know how I was talking about how I can walk at certain distances and kind of force you to throw a button because you don't want me to walk at you?
Right.
It's the same thing with fireballs and jumps. You can make it so that you put the fear of the fireball in the opponent's heart, and they're gonna want to jump because they want to force you to stop using fireballs. And the one thing that kind of forces you to stop doing fireballs is jumps. Because if you throw a fireball and you get jumped in on, you're going to think to yourself, oh my god, that was a bad fireball. It forces you to hesitate on when you want to throw fireballs.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can use that to your advantage, you can kind of bait your opponent to jump. And because you know your opponent is very likely to jump, in your mind, you're going to be looking out for the jump specifically. And when you see them jump, your reaction time decreases by a lot. And it's easier for you to DP them out of the air. I used to think that DPs were mostly reaction up until I started playing with Sagat. And I remember I struggled a lot with DPing with Sagat. And I realized that the reason I was struggling to DP was because I wasn't planning my fireball game. I was kind of throwing fireballs haphazardly, kind of thinking, well, I'm going to force them to chill out, and then they're going to jump and I'm going to react and I'm going to fireball and I'm going to DP. But the problem is that if you're looking to purely react to jumps with DPs, you're not going to be able to, because there's so many things that an opponent can do during your fireball game that you're not going to be able to keep track of everything at the same time. Because if your opponent is walking and blocking, you're going to think to yourself, oh my god, okay, so I can't throw too many fireballs because at some point I'm going to be negative in their face after they block a fireball, and I have to concede my turn. So you're going to be looking at the distances on the ground, and when they do jump, it's very likely that you're not going to be able to react in time because you're looking at the ground. And then they jump in, you don't have the reactions to DP, they force you to block, and then you have to guess. So try to kind of, where I'm going with this is basically you need to have kind of a more structured plan around your fireballs.
Right.
Just so you can kind of predict when your opponent's going to jump. And then if they don't jump, because you already have a plan around your fireball, you can adjust your plan. Obviously, with practice, you can kind of develop a flow chart where you say, okay, if they react this way, I'm going to throw more fireballs. If they react another way, I'm going to throw less fireballs. If I see them getting desperate, I'm going to stop throwing fireballs. I'm going to wait for them to jump so I can DP. You know, and at some point, it'll be something that'll come to you naturally. Because it's a planned course of action.
Right.
So yeah, overall, I think that's kind of like the biggest. Overall, the biggest thing I saw in your gameplay is that you kind of lack a little bit of foresight in your planning. Try to kind of develop a play style where you plan ahead.
I got you. I understand that.
if you ever see yourself in a situation where you're thinking, what do I do now? Kind of take note of that and go to the replay and think to yourself, okay, so I didn't know what to do here while I was playing the round. Now that I'm looking at it in the replay, what can I do here? And then you start coming up with ideas. You start thinking, okay, well maybe instead of doing solar plexus, I could have blocked. Or maybe I could have jumped. Maybe I could have dashed, you know? And then you start toying with these ideas, and the more you toy with these ideas, the more structured of a game plan you're going to develop. And then you're not going to have to think about it. You just see yourself in a situation, you're going to recognize the playstyle that your opponent has, and you're just going to act based on what you've already planned is the best action. Because believe it or not, this game requires a lot of planning at a high level. So the more you can plan ahead, and the more comfortable you are with that plan, the better it is for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm starting to see that now.
And then at some point you'll realize this. Once you have a very structured plan, you'll realize that some of the quote-unquote random things you were getting hit by are going to be very much less likely to work on you. Because those things work when you don't have a plan. Because you're scrambling in your head, what do I do? How do I win? And you don't have time to react to the random things.
Yeah.
You don't have them in mind. The only thing you have in mind is what am I going to do now?
Yeah, very true.
So yeah, I'd say work on that, and probably practice your DPs a little bit more, like just the mechanical aspect of seeing the jump, doing the motion and pressing the button, and knowing when to cross cut versus knowing when to do regular DP. If you combine that with kind of the approach of having a structured game plan, you'll notice that people are going to jump at you and you're just going to DP them out of the air. And the more you practice it, you'll reach a point where you don't even have to think about it. You see them jump, and you just anti-air them with DP.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say that was pretty good. Do you have any further questions for me, or does anybody in chat have any questions?
As for me, you covered everything, and I appreciate it.
I see Jose and Liar were lurking around. Don't worry, I enjoy doing these things because it helps me refine my teaching skills, because that's an aspect I kind of want to work on. So I appreciate you being willing to do this on stream and whatnot.
Oh yes, sir. No problem at all.
So yeah, chat. Does anybody have any questions before we sign off? Or are we good? Doesn't look like anybody has any questions. Well, I might do this again with somebody else at some point. If anybody's interested, let me know. You can hit me up on Discord or on Twitter. I'll put my Discord in the Twitch chat if anybody wants to hit me up for one of these sessions. I'll be putting this up on YouTube at some point today, probably, because I want to make sure that I keep this documented. And yeah, I guess that's everything. Thanks to... Am I calling you Chuck? Chuck Hadoken?
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks to Chuck for coming on, and I'll see you on the next one.